Morning, gang.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Good morning.
I don't
Morning,
know.
Dave.
This is a great group.
It is a great group.
You know, when you have so many meetings and most of them are really boring. We never have time to ever finish ours.
Yeah.
Like,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
hey, Quentin.
Good morning.
Hello,
How are
and
you?
good
Morning.
Hi, man.
Quentin's all dressed up this morning.
Oh, when I have to do some public things, I put on a tie.
Quentin's always dressed up. I have 20
No, I
years.
was on a board meeting call with him 2 days ago, and he wasn't dressed up for me then.
Well, I've had like 50 of them this week with him, it seems like. I'm kind of tired of them, to be honest with you. All right, Jen, can we start or do we have some more?
Let's maybe wait 1 or 2 more minutes. Get a few more folks here.
Hey, Linda, I texted Allie this morning. Steph had an idea that maybe we could take the cash and take it through Learn to Earn and give it to the students to solve the problem. So you guys give her all a call later or whoever.
Okay.
That actually sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Would that change college versus or no? Or
I don't know. I don't see why it would.
okay. Well, we have the 10 o'clock after the
Yeah.
boring meetings. So
Yeah, that's a good one too.
yeah.
Yeah. Quentin and I have one at 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Can you believe it? I won't have on a tie Sunday night.
I'm glad I get all these board fees.
Well,
Very helpful.
appreciate it.
It's also interesting to see who actually puts their camera on and who puts their phone on. This is a pretty high percentage. Hi, Kat.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Kat.
Good
Kat,
morning.
we got the 50.
Hi, Deb.
Did you hear that? We got the 50.
I did a little dance of joy last night when I saw that come through. Thank you.
Steph said, had an idea, maybe we could run it through Earl's group to avoid the accounting problem. So we're going to talk to him later.
Okay, good. Hey, Quentin, we finally signed the contract with Castlight for our
Contact
health
tracing.
check. So do you want me to make the introduction? Or are you guys down a different path?
We're working with the health department to align with what they recommend. So I'll follow up with you if that comes up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Kat, on that note, and Dr. Bullock knows this, once that all aligns, we may have some emergency funds from the state to support that.
Great.
So just letting it all come together.
Jen, can we start?
I think we should.
Do we need to take roll?
I'm going to read the names of the folks I don't have. If you're here, just speak up, please.
Why don't we just ask the people not to hear to raise their hand?
That would be great. Ackland, Allen, Arkaski.
Here.
Thank you. Balachak, Camino, Casoli, Ellsworth, Katona, Kelly, Lane, Melcher, Pipitone, Rendulic, Rupert, Stasco, Williamson. Okay.
All right. Let's call the meeting into order then. We have a consent agreement. This was distributed a few days ago. Looks like the gang's been hard to work. There's approximately a little over $1 million of grants that we've received. Do we need to go through each one, Jen, or is it okay to accept them the way they are?
You can accept them the way they are unless anyone wants to talk about them.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? my general comment is this is hard work. These things just don't roll in the door. I think it's a tribute to you and your staff, Earl. So thank you very much for that. So would you need a motion to accept these?
So move.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Any opposed? All right, that's motion will carry. So thank you very much for that. I don't know if is Steve on? Is Steve Massero on?
I didn't see him, but we can get started.
Do you want to come back or do you want to do that for him?
Yeah, we were prepared in case he couldn't make it. So
Okay.
we're going to turn it over to our CFO, Kristen Kramer, and
Thanks,
we'll walk
Kristen.
through.
Thank you, Mr. Malone, and good morning, everyone. So I'm going to highlight some of the main points for our 2021 budget. The full detail is disclosed in a memorandum in your board packet, and included in the memorandum is a pie chart and a graph at the end that helps with a visual aid. I know this is kind of hard to read. Overall, our revenue is anticipated to increase about $3 million this year, primarily due to our adult TANF and Learn and Earn programs. Adult TANF has increased $2.5 million through the Work, Ready, and Earn programs. And Learn and Earn has additional funds this year from the CDBG funds directly. And we anticipate raising additional funds to cover indirect cost for the CDBG grant. Correlating directly with the revenue are direct program expenses. They are also anticipated to increase $3 million from last year's budget, primarily due to adult TANF and Learn and Earn. The rent overall is anticipated to increase $25,000. This is primarily due to the square footage increase from $18.54 a square foot to $19.10. Plus, we also have additional operating expenses and real estate taxes that are charged by the building. Management and general are planned to increase by around $30,000. There are a few reasons for this. The first reason is an increase in salary and wages of about $60,000, primarily due to the restructure of Partner for Work with the new organizational charts and the different positions. We did have a large reduction in information technology of around $46,000, primarily due to last year they budgeted for implementation of some software that we're not re-implementing this year because it was implemented last year. There is a slight increase in travel and conference to support the travel related to our Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer. He currently resides in Massachusetts and travels to Pittsburgh. We will be charging some of this travel directly to strategy programs where possible. Looking at the overall statement, we have projected a small loss in fundraising and Learn and Earn. We are anticipating that this will not end as a loss. We have fundraising efforts in effect that should cover the Learn and Earn loss and the fundraising loss, but we wanted to keep this in our vision and not project the revenue. This will make sure that we're addressing each quarter to see how the fundraising efforts are coming along. After this budget was finalized, we did receive some news that the state had rescinded all PA SMART awards, and currently it is recorded under our sector and place-based strategies for $782,000. Our team has been working very hard to mitigate this loss. Our efforts have been to reduce the direct awards that we had related to this money, and also to help cover salaries. We have the Paycheck Protection Plan money that we are able to carry forward into the first quarter of 2021. And the team is working very hard to receive additional grants. We will be keeping a close eye on this and update each quarter with any concerns that may arise. Are there any questions related to our 2021 budget? If not, may I have a motion to approve the 2021 budget as presented?
Moved. You have a move and a second from Quentin.
Oh, great, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks so much. Thanks for your report.
Hey, Chair Malone, the chair of the finance committee is here, Steve Massero. I don't know if you wanted to.
Well, you have to fire him. He got fired.
You've done a great job.
My
Morning,
prayers
Steve.
have been answered.
Yeah. That's
He's
Hey,
been a great support.
I don't, if you came after roll call, would you mind just texting or go to the chat room, just say that you're here? I saw Laura's here, Sam and Tom and Josh have already texted, just so we have a record. Kevin's on here now. So
Sure.
just so Jen has it. Thanks very much.
Thank
Good
you.
morning to all of you. Okay, Susie and Debbie, you're going to talk to us a little bit about our adult youth programs, please. I don't know who's up first.
Yeah, I am. Thank you so much. So Jen, if you could go to the next slide, or Kristen, are you talking about this dashboard report? Do you need that?
Yeah, I think I should present the third quarter financials quickly.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry.
So we're very excited. We've created a new format for the board. So this is also included in your board packet, and I'll just quickly review the dashboard. We created more of a visual aid to better support understanding. And we've also included the statement of financial position and statement of activities in your packet. But I'm just going to quickly go over the dashboard report. The first section here, you could see a 12-month cash flow. The PNC fluctuates with incoming and outgoing cash and checks that are going through. Currently down then under the cash, it remains consistent at about 3.7 million if you add of the cash and the other savings accounts. Then I created a little pie chart with an AR balance, and it kind of breaks it down into 4 categories: less than 30 days, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, and over 90 days. Currently, the Finance Committee has been working to collect items that are over 90 days. And underneath the little chart there, I have listed out in detail what are over 90 days. Currently, we've received the MUS money, and I've also received a settlement agreement for $67,000 from the PA CareerLink money that was over 90 days. Our AP balance.
What's our line of credit?
Our line of credit is, so I have that listed there out, and we've not used any of it, but we have $500,000 on the line of credit that we could use.
Can I assume that the government's getting slower and slower?
What do you mean, Dave?
Your 90-day receivables are all government money, right?
Oh,
I'm just worried if you have enough line of credit, I don't want to wait till the last minute.
No, we're okay cash wise.
Okay.
I think
right.
a lot, the government has been slow, and we're working with Michael White from the state to collect some of the.
That's fine. As long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. Thank you.
Yep, we're good. Our AP balance is 2.4 million, of which 2.2 are subrecipients. And then at the bottom, the net income through the third quarter is a loss. This is due to timing of the Learn and Earn program. We've released money from restriction from the summer of the 2019 Learn and Earn program, but this last quarter we'll be receiving all the money for the 2020 Learn and Earn program. Temp restricted net assets of 6.4 million are detailed at the bottom as to what categories they are. And as you can see, the Learn and Earn has 2.5 in temp restricted as of 6/30/2019, and that's what has been mostly released for the net loss. Okay, if we want to go to the second page of the flash report, Jen, please. Thank you. The second page I presented here is total expenditures through March 31st, and I put this in the pie chart. I think this really pulls out and allows you to see the categories of our programs and the amount of spending in each. Our largest programs are the WIOA at 25%, which is combined Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh. Our TANF is second at 24%, which includes adult and youth. And then our Learn and Earn is at 19%. The last graph is a graph of expense comparison from FY 1920 versus 1819. Allegheny County and WIOA has decreased this year due to receiving funds for the MUS Dislocated Worker Fund, which you will see the large increase under the federal WIOA plus MUS. This is primarily due to the MUS Dislocated Worker Funding and Strive Reentry Grant. The adult TANF programs, Learn and Earn, and sector strategies all increased very slightly from last year. And then at the bottom of that, I actually detailed out again what kind of increased or decreased. And at the bottom, I listed some comments that cash balance remained consistent. We're working on collecting the AR items. Management and general expenditures remain at 7%. So the Finance Committee, just to let everybody know, is still reviewing in detail all the other financial reports, but we felt best to shave down what was presented to the board. We would love to hear feedback from you if you prefer the old way or if this is a more easier way to read. Please let us know. We're definitely open to change.
I don't know about anybody else, but pictures are much better than me because I'm not that smart. And I'm sure Steve and Earl worked really hard to get this report put together so succinctly and clearly. So thanks, Steve and Earl.
Quite welcome, Chairman.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Does anybody else prefer this versus the last, the typical way?
This is great.
Yeah, it's much easier. I
Much
appreciate it.
easier.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
So we'll definitely continue this way then unless we hear otherwise. A couple other actions that we have. P4W, we have a relocation policy, was removed from consideration at the last agenda, but sent back to our committee for discussion. And among the revisions, the Finance Committee wanted to add a cap of $5,000 to limit advanced, and we also limited advanced trips on the policy. We understand and appreciate that individual circumstances and candidates may warrant additional conversation and exception, and we are prepared to do that, particularly on a level of hire that we're looking to make. So the relocation policy was included in your packet and was approved by the Finance and Personnel Committee. I hope you had time to review. Were there any questions or concerns on that policy? So if not, may I have a motion to accept the Partner for Work relocation expense policy, please?
So moved. Dave Copeland.
And a second?
Second, Quentin Bullock.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You have your motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last piece I have is the Partner for Work disbursement policy included in your packet. This basically outlines the addition of e-payments. This is a new business process for the organization and has given us the ability to pay our providers and other expenses electronically while we've been working remotely. I've gotten some feedback from some of our board members, and I believe it's been working very well. Again, this policy has been vetted and approved by the Finance and Personnel Committee. So are there any questions regarding the Partner for Work disbursement policy? If not, may I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. That concludes my presentation. Thank
Sorry to
you.
interrupt you before, by the way.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Now on to Susie and Deb, please.
Thank you. Jen, you can go to the next slide. So I'm going to update folks on our adult programs and our earn programs, and then I'll turn it over to Debbie about youth programs. So we've received our third quarter of 2019 indicators of performance on WIOA. And you'll see on all of these indicators, adult, dislocated worker, and youth, they're all set up the same. There's the goal, and then the city and the county performance on the goal. We just received these last month, and they are always very late and frankly too late to really make any changes on or do anything about for the next quarter. But we know that we have met all of the performance with the exception of the county adult employment rate in the second quarter after exit. And you'll see at the bottom the measure that is reviewing the data for participants exited between July 1 of 2018 and March 31st of 2019. So these numbers are not official until we have 4 total quarters of performance. So we'll update you at the next board meeting on what we see. So Jen, if you could go to the next slide, then I'll walk through more current numbers. So we've taken a look at what our adult and dislocated worker in the PA career system providers have been able to do over the past just about year. And you'll see that the number of PA CareerLink visits is down from last year. The visits related to unemployment compensation, just to give folks kind of an understanding of how much of the system, the PA CareerLink system, serves WIOA Title I participants versus Wagner Pizer participants, which is the state staff, the Title II participants, which are adult basic education and OBR. Really the plurality of participants who come into the CareerLink are looking for help with unemployment compensation. And so that's about a little over a quarter. Of the 22,000 people who walked into the CareerLink through the shutdown, a little over 1,000 of them came in for the services provided by our Title I contractors. Of the 29,000 or close to 29,000 calls we've received since the middle of March, almost 90% of them were about unemployment. And for the first really 3 or 2.5 months of the shutdown, then closer to 93% of the participants who were calling into the PA CareerLink were asking about unemployment. We've seen that number, that percentage go down, and more people are starting to think about reemployment at this point. And we've seen in the past really 2 to 3 weeks that there are more job placements happening, and that there are more people who are calling into the system who are looking to find jobs. And so, you know, we're on track to meet our job placement goals for WIOA Title I participants. We have a goal of 77%, and we're at 78%. And I'll say, you know, this is with the caveat that 78% are verified placements that our Title I providers have documentation of. So they have either a pay stub, or they've called the employer and gotten the employer to acknowledge in writing that the individual has been employed, something like that. So we typically pick up more placements when the state runs the wage record data. So right now we're sitting in good shape. And the median wage for WIOA job placements, we have a goal of about $15 an hour, and we have exceeded that goal for this year. Just so that everyone knows, and this was in the book, the CareerLinks will reopen to in-person services by appointment only in the next week, just after the July 4th holiday. So staff are there right now making sure that you know, markers are on the ground for 6 feet apart, and that installations are there so that staff are safe, and that we have enough personal protective equipment as well. Jen, if you could go to the next slide. So if we are looking into our Title I recommendation for funding for 2021, this is going to be the second option year under the last procurement that we did. And given the changes that we have under COVID and the reality of where we are right now with our programming, our recommendation is to continue funding Dynamic Workforce Solutions for the Downtown Center, to continue funding Grant Associates for the East Center, and continue funding ResCare as the one-stop operator for both of the centers. We also would like to enter into a contract with the Builders Guild of Western Pennsylvania in order to open up training slots for adults and dislocated workers at their Intro to the Trades program. And you've heard quite a bit about that program over the course of the years. It has excellent outcomes. We're seeing people who are going through supported and then placed into family sustaining jobs. So we think that's a reasonable and a sound investment. So with that, I'll ask if there are any questions on the WIOA adult and dislocated worker side, and if not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the funding slate.
Is there any questions from anybody besides the obvious comment that you guys are doing a great job?
I'm just wondering, and perhaps I should know this, do you have any information on race and gender breakdown of people who have been approaching us and who have been successfully placed?
Sure, we do. And the demographics were shared in the board book this time around as far as outcomes. And we will have, once we receive that fourth quarter after exit data in the next 2 or 3 months, then we'll have a full breakdown of demographics by outcomes that we can share with you as well.
And Dr. Washington, what we'll do, you just remind me that we'll send that out as well to the board, so that you have that more concretely.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Then can we have a motion to support this?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any opposition? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Your motion carries, Susie. Thank you.
You need to ask for one abstention, and that would be Jeff Nopers. Can you abstain?
Thanks,
from this
Susie.
vote?
I did abstain. I didn't say anything.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Jeff.
was watching you closely, Jeff. Is there anything else, Susie? Or
I
Deb?
do have TANF earn numbers, and then
Okay.
I'll turn it over to Deb.
Okay.
So the adult TANF system, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, Employment Assistance and Retention Network is what EARN stands for. We have the county side of that programming. The city has their own programming. And this is, I think, the third year that we have overseen the program. And so I wanted to show for you the real difference between the numbers this time last year and right now, in large part because referrals from the county assistance office were suspended during the stay-at-home order. And our staff made the case that the EARN program is really valuable for individuals. And so if an individual is on temporary assistance for needy families and has a goal of getting into employment, then the EARN program can really help them connect with services that can help stabilize them and get them into work. But the Bureau of Employment Programs at Pennsylvania Department of Human Services did not want to continue program or referrals during the shutdown. So we have seen a decrease in referrals from the county assistance office, which of course then means a decrease in enrollments in the program, a decrease in active participation, and then a decrease in job placements and cash closure. Our funding is not contingent upon how many people we serve, with the sole exception of right now, we get 65% of our funding on a cost reimbursement basis and 35% of our funding on a performance payment basis. And so because we'll be having fewer performance measures, then we won't be getting as many performance payments this program year. But we don't anticipate that having much of an impact on our budget, frankly, because we have a little bit of a surplus in this program. So Jen, if you could go to the next slide.
Susie, is the PPP money enough to cover that?
We won't need it for this
Okay.
program. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, then the state, maybe a week and a half ago, the state put out a new contract for the EARN program for program year 2020 through 2023. And there are some significant changes. And there have been changes that have been proposed all along with EARN, but these are kind of brand new as of last week. So there was initially a conversation, and many of you have kind of started to think about this, that the state would procure for EARN providers and procure for EARN contracts. We've been told that that will not happen in the next few years, and that our new contract will actually run through 2023. The contract value is also going to be close to $5 million annually. A small percentage of that is for SNAP participants, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, so food stamps program. And those participants have not been required to participate in EARN programming. They've not been required to do job searching, but will be required to again in the next year. The biggest news around EARN is that the budget has moved to 100% cost reimbursement. There is no more performance payments. And so we're reworking budgets and reworking our contracts with providers to reflect that. And that will be effective July 1. And there are new performance outcomes. We've known for the past few months that licensed counselors will be required for the program. And what that will mean is that there will be a larger focus on social determinants of health in the program, and a larger focus on making sure that that participants can get that counseling on site if they need it. There is another program related to—
Sorry to interrupt, but can you tell me more about the social determinants issue?
Sure. So social determinants of health include things like housing, include things like mental health, those sorts of things, and making sure that that a client who goes into an EARN program can receive services to mitigate those barriers at the actual EARN program has been a shift in focus for DHS. So we'll start to see more of those services either referred out closely by EARN providers, or with the licensed counselors on staff. 80% of participants have to participate in licensed counseling at least once a month.
So someone could get money for food, for housing, for transportation?
So food and housing would go through the county assistance office.
Okay.
For the most part, transportation is a supportive service that Earn Centers do provide.
Through the social determinants portion, that's what I'm trying to get to. What changed there?
So the licensed counselor is really the main change that
That's all.
the state is focusing on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ike, did you have a question?
Yeah, from the perspective of somebody that's attempting to access these bits, what are the pluses and minuses for that person? What you're talking about here?
As far as the Earn program is concerned.
Yes.
So the Earn programs do not determine who comes to them, and they cannot just accept someone who walks in kind of off of the street and wants services. All of the Earn participants are referred from the county assistance office, and it's a requirement of the county assistance office on participants that they go to the Earn program in order to keep their benefits.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. Assuming they've been referred over, these new changes you're talking about, from the perspective of that person, what are they going to gain out of these changes, and what is going to be make these changes, or what of these changes are going to make it harder for that person?
Sure. So the change that we're moving to 100% cost reimbursement budget will allow providers to be able to make stronger decisions and to be able to understand what their entire budget will look like at the beginning of the year. So as opposed to trying to figure out, how do I invest only 65% of my funds right now and then possibly earn the other 35 and possibly not. This is a more sustainable and a more stable source of funding for the providers. So that will,
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Susie.
So that will translate to stronger services for the participant who's going into the program. Also, having a licensed counselor on staff will translate into where we tend to lose people in workforce programs is at the kind of pinch points. You have to now go to this other location in order to get counseling, or this other location in order to get this service. So by adding a counselor on staff, then we'll have an additional opportunity to make sure that people kind of stay in the program and that we don't lose them as they go to another location. It'll also make it easier for the Earn participants to get that service.
And more flexibility as well. So to ask questions as well at the agency level.
Thank you.
Sure. And there's a small program as well called Work Ready. And Work Ready, another big shift in the Earn program is that there used to be a little bit more discretion in where a county assistance officer or a county assistance office caseworker sent someone, if they sent them to Earn or if they sent them to Work Ready. And that meant that it was uneven, that some people would get sent to Work Ready who probably should have been in Earn and vice versa. And Work Ready basically, at the time, this program year and beyond, was for individuals who weren't yet ready to go into the Earn program. Earn was for folks who are close to being ready to go into employment. Work Ready was for individuals who had some more significant barriers to employment. That's shifted, and Work Ready will now be for individuals who are on extended TANF, so who have received TANF benefits for more than 60 months, and Earn will be for everyone else. So those will also add some additional shifts into the program. The other thing that's just, from a fiscal perspective that's important to know is that Work Ready funding used to be on the federal fiscal year and will now be on the state fiscal year. So it will align with our July 1 start. So Jen, if you could go to the next slide. The outcomes have changed as well on the Earn program, which we got these again last week. So you will see that basically none of the new outcomes were performance outcomes in the last program year. They were incentivized with performance payments, but they were not a requirement as far as program outcomes. And so the first really 3 outcomes here are really outputs, that an individual will have an assessment, that an individual will have an individualized employment plan, and that the licensed counselor will be available for monthly access to participants. All of those are new within the program in some way, shape, or form. The next 1, 2, 3, 4,
Susie,
5.
why is the hourly rate so much less for under TANF as the other?
So the hourly rate for TANF lower than our $15 an hour WIOA, A, because we set the WIOA outcome ourselves and want to make sure that we're achieving that outcome, and B, that the TANF population tends to be single parents who have young children at home. And so for them, then achieving a job of $15 an hour has a lot longer time period. So this $9.25 an hour is set by the state in recognition of the fact that a lot of the folks who are going through the EARN programs have barriers to employment.
So Dave, I want to add a point to that, and we can talk about this another time because we're doing the research on this. We are trying to figure out what we call path to pathways. So if quite frankly, if TANF and EARN is that first leg of someone's employment stool, we owe it to be that next leg and make sure it's funding lined up at each step. Since quite frankly, this is how the public system sets up these criteria. So we try to make it a better equation. That's something we'll roll out down the road because historically none of this stuff is really connected.
Yeah, $9 an hour.
Yep.
For that somebody takes kids, let alone eat.
Yep.
So I think the other factor too that plays into this is that we have some flexibility on the WIOA side, that an individual who enrolls in WIOA needs assistance to get employment, but also we have the ability to say this person is not ready for an employment and training program. On the EARN side, all of these referrals are made to us and we have to accept them. And so there's also that kind of recognition of it might take someone longer, it might take someone an initial kind of $9 an hour job in order to build those skills, in order to be able to go and get a job that pays them more. But absolutely, our kind of internal goal is not to have someone stop at that $9 an hour job. That's not where someone can be.
Can I ask a
I'm
question?
sorry, Sam, go ahead.
So I think it might be helpful to see sort of a breakdown of where this population of people go to work. Because the problem very well might not necessarily be that we're sending them to the wrong jobs. It might be that those jobs simply need to pay more money. And, and if we could understand exactly where folks are going to work, some of us on the call might be able to push for higher wages at those jobs.
Yeah. And Sam, to that
we
point,
should actually be having people who are going to work after going through a partnership for work program and still be living in poverty.
Yeah, no, agreed. And Sam, just to that point, this is just the measurement. This is the minimum allowed. But yeah, we'll break that down further, and we can see exactly how many are, what the rate range is, and then make those determinants. Good question.
Yeah, and what kinds of jobs people are ending up in, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we can have that for the next meeting. Any other questions on the outcomes?
Susie, I have a question about the counseling. Is it your impression that we have an adequate number of trained and skilled counselors for this new emphasis on counseling?
Yeah, so we've known about the licensed counselor requirement for a few months, and the providers have been staffing up in that area. So I think that we're okay on that end.
And what are counselors paid, Susie?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can find that out.
Question.
And what a counselor's day is jam-packed one after another? Do they have time to be proactive? Do they have time to really dig in and help people?
So our goal is not to nickel and dime the providers here and make sure that they have the funding they need to be able to deliver the service in a meaningful way. And to me, that means that the counselors have a caseload that is reasonable, that they're able to make sure that they can be proactive, that they can do the outreach, and that they're one additional point as well in the system of if a participant is kind of falling off of participation, the counselor can also help to reach out and pull them back into the program.
And you get your information about counselors from whoever we contract with, or do you actually interact directly with counselors ever?
So the counselors are a new program, part of the program for this coming program year. And so we've not yet interacted with them. But then after July 1, we have what's called a DST meeting with the EARN providers, and their staff comes to that meeting and interacts with our staff. So
Wondering, Susie,
the
if
counselors would be invited.
could we hear from counselors without their employer in the room?
Sure.
I don't know if you could get a group of advisors that could volunteer to be an advisory group for you. And I don't want to start a revolution either, but
I think that would be a good idea.
let's think about that a little bit, see if we can get good input. And then what I'm saying is the population you're serving is challenging enough. If you have 15 minutes a meeting, you're not going to get much done.
Right. Absolutely.
So I just think I'd rather pay counselors more and give them less customers than overwork.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, Jen, could you go to the next slide for me? So our funding recommendation, we have 3 TANF EARN providers, would be to continue funding for all 3 of them: EDSI at the Downtown Center, Grant Associates for the Wilkinsburg Center, and Goodwill for the McKeesport EARN Center. We're also making a recommendation that we fund Literacy Pittsburgh to provide adult literacy and GED services at the Downtown and Wilkinsburg centers. Goodwill provides those services at the McKeesport Center, so that's why we're not making that recommendation. The Literacy Pittsburgh contract was procured. We sent it out to our network, and we received questions from 1 provider who did not respond. And we received 1 bid, and that was from Literacy Pittsburgh, but we think it's competitive, and we think that it's a necessary service for this population.
Does anybody have any concerns or questions about this? Do you need a motion for this, Susie?
I do need a motion, please.
We have a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
We have 1 abstinence.
Yeah, 1 abstention.
Carries out.
Right. Thank you so much. And with that, I will turn it over to Debbie.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Deb.
Okay, thanks, Susie. Thanks, Dave. So first I'm going to talk about year-round youth. Our year-round youth programs have begun to return to their offices with in-person services to youth available at some programs by appointment only. We'll have outcomes for programs this year in a few months, but in all, 75% of our enrolled youth stayed engaged with their provider and programming during the COVID-19 shutdown, and 84% of WIOA youth stayed engaged in work experiences. Nonetheless, we are anticipating that our out-of-school youth participants in particular will need some additional assistance connecting back into the workforce and education this year. We're working closely with providers to either roll those participants into the next program year or into services at the PA Career Link. As you'll see on the slide, we have increased the funding allocation to WIOA providers for next year slightly. This is both to respond to increased needs given COVID and to ensure that we are in compliance with WIOA regulations. We're required to obligate or spend 80% of our WIOA program year 19 funding by June 30th of 2020. And these funding allocation levels, which were recommended by the Youth Advisory Council at our last meeting, will help us do that. We'll also reserve some additional WIOA youth funding for new programs responsive to COVID this year. With the funding levels that you see on the screen, we expect to serve slightly more youth in this year, year 20, than we did in program year 19. So before I move to TANF youth, are there any questions on the WIOA youth recommendations that you see before you on the screen?
Thanks, Deb. Continue.
Okay, so I'll move on to TANF youth funding is, as you might know, single year funding. And that said, the State Department of Labor and Industry has asked for a waiver to roll over unexpended program year 19 funds into next year. We likely will not hear from L&I until mid-July. We will only have city TANF funding to roll over. So the Youth Advisory Committees recommended the slate you see on your screen. Auberly will only receive an increase if TANF youth funding is rolled over by the Commonwealth. Providers who will see a reduction this year are those who were on track pre-COVID to underspend their budgets. Point Park University's original contract was for 10 months, which is why there's an increase for this year. Other providers with increases include Neighborhood Learning Alliance and Youth Enrichment Services, both of whom have exceeded their performance requirements this year. Are there any questions on the TNF Youth recommendation? If not, can I have a motion to approve the funding slate for WIOA and TNF Youth as recommended?
And just a quick question, Deb.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you know the financials of all these providers, but will this create a hardship for them?
Susie?
So we don't anticipate it because the providers had stepped down services.
They saw this coming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll move it.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thanks very much, Deb.
Okay, there are a few
Couple-
abstentions.
Oh, yeah.
so
Who do we have?
just
Who
wanna
abstained
note
from
those.
that one?
Dave Copeland abstained.
David?
Yeah, and I believe Marcy and Quentin should abstain as well.
Okay.
Okay, let me just update you quickly about Learn and Earn. So first, I want to thank Mark Cherna and his team at the county who've been strong partners this year from providing funding, which they have been obviously very consistent. We so appreciate it, to recruitment, health, and thought leadership. They've two strong partners on our Learn and Earn committee, and they've been terrific. And then I also, of course, want to thank Majestic Lane from the mayor's office for his efforts in helping us navigate Learn and Earn 220 through the city. The city funding for Learn and Earn was approved unanimously by City Council in May, and the MOU is with the city for review. So it's good to have that behind us as we obviously start the program year. And as you'll remember, we have completely reimagined the Learn and Earn program this year. While about 30 to 35% of work sites will continue in person this summer, the rest have been moved online. There, youth are practicing the skills we have all had to learn the past 3 months: teleworking, Zoom etiquette, and accountability to teams we cannot see in person. And despite all of the changes COVID has required, we have offered jobs to more than 1,750 youth this summer. That is truly amazing. As of Wednesday, we have 1,650 placements. There are still 50 youth on the waiting list. And as jobs become available, if funding allows, we will place them through the program. For context, last year, 1,900 youth were employed by Learn and Earn. But as you know, I mean, this is a great achievement of Susie and her team with all that happened over the last few months and really having to pivot this entire program. So I just want to thank her and her team. They've just done an amazing job. So many of the provider partners have held orientation and online work readiness training this week. And in order to mitigate barriers to participation in the Learn and Earn program, we distributed more than 350 Chromebooks to youth this summer. So that's the picture you see. The Chromebooks will be for the youth to keep when their summer is over. On your screen, obviously, you see the team doing this, and a team of Learn and Earn interns trained in our Google Digital Skills program this year, and they'll be providing tech support to youth this summer. And finally, in terms of the corporate internships, 48 corporate interns are working with 13 businesses throughout the county this summer. The corporate program began on June 15th to give students more time in their jobs. And again, our sincere gratitude to Allegheny County DHS, the City of Pittsburgh, and UPMC, and all the organizations that are hosting Learn and Earn corporate interns for the summer, and to Citizens Bank and PNC for supporting the program financially. So are there any questions or comments about Learn and Earn?
Pretty good story, Deb. Thank you.
It's a great story. It's a great story. So thank you.
Okay, we need no action for you, right? We're good?
No action. No action.
Does that conclude your report, Deb?
It concludes my report. Thank you
Thanks
very much.
to both of you. Okay, Earl, you and Jack to give us a summary?
Yeah, and so a couple quick things. First and foremost, I want to thank Deb, Susie, and everyone from this board who's involved in all of our program activity, our partner Carrie, literacy. I know when these reports come out, it's not the sexy pieces of what we do, but it's the guts of what we do. And so I just wanted to thank you for going through the measurements, how the money works and everything else, because really that's the crux of our business. So thank you all for going through that. So couple quick things. One, I'm going to take CEO prerogative and greatly reduce this portion because we're about 15 minutes off course. And I know we have guests here who are going to present some really fun, exciting things. So I'll just do a quick summary, and if there's major questions about where Ready to Work is going, right? But for the past 4 months, this board and that leadership group, you've met repeatedly and consistently. So I think we've covered a lot of the framework between our weekly board calls for a while and our bi-weekly leadership group meetings with Ready to Work. I think we've talked about a lot of it. So we'll just highlight some things, and then we'll hear from some guests who are here to talk about some exciting things that have come out of it. But first and foremost, I want to say it's 2 years this month for me, and it's been exciting 2 years, and we have a lot in front of us and a long ways to go to keep helping people and helping these companies and these employers. So that part never goes away. But I just want to thank you all as a board, as a staff, for your time, talent, treasure, consistently being available, consistently giving, consistently moving the agenda collectively. So just want to start off by saying thank you on that. So Ready to Work, from the board book and from the slides, you know who's all involved. You know that's starting to grow. There are a lot of subgroups developing. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of virtual townhouse things that are starting to happen. So if you go through the board book, you see all the activity and where the subgroups are going. So we'll highlight a couple, and then, quite frankly, when I'm done here, we're going to hear from Natalie, our board member Natalie from UPMC, and some of her colleagues talk about exciting new initiative we're working on with them. That's funded by RK Mellon and through their COVID Recovery Fund. And then also we'll hear from our Vice Chair, Laura Ellsworth, on the exciting initiative that we referenced a few meetings ago, but now it's no longer embargo. We can talk greatly about it and put it out there and tell you all about that. So thank you, Jen, for putting in the slide deck. The highlights right now, I'd say we've gone from the immediate phase of Ready to Work, where we really, the child care subgroup is growing. I want to thank Kat and folks that are working hard on that, and Mark Cherna and the Early Learning Coalition. I think there's some good things starting to come out of where the child care is going. We have an emerging economic development subgroup, which is now consists of ACED, Lance Chimka, leadership at URA. We just landed Bridgeway Capital to that group. And so we are going to meet monthly for a while to really connect. We call it Workforce Meets Economic Development. And particularly starting to look at the resources that those respective entities are working on together with small, minority, and Black businesses and their support, and how do we integrate our resources into that conversation. So that's one of the more, they're all important, but that one is really caught my interest. And we're excited about where that's going. And then I'll give Jack just a couple quick minutes to highlight what we're doing on the place-based side and what we're doing on the best practices team. So Jack, I'll give you a couple quick minutes to highlight that, and then we'll keep moving.
Sure, thanks. And just as I start on this, I've had the role of facilitating the leadership group, and it's a great group to work with. They have really kept focus on the objective of Ready to Work, and moved to performing and getting things done right away. On the place-based strategies, so there's a strategic approach that the leadership group has taken, and I want to talk about it a little bit. All the work in connecting workforce development and economic development is more important to the extent that it benefits the people in neighborhoods with lower incomes, and particularly neighborhoods with a large population of Black and brown residents. And so starting with the example of the First Source hiring agreement that Partner for Work had, and led to an agreement between ourselves and URA to set up a First Source center in the Lower Hill. That sparked a discussion of opportunities for strategic expansion. You can see some of the alternatives on the slide here. There's also the possibility of using county CSBG money to support building a new infrastructure of services. So that's a big plus that we're looking toward. Jen, I know I'm going to make life difficult for you, but could we go to the direct hire strategies for a minute?
And thank you, Sam, while they're doing that, for your leadership, pulling that relationship together with the ERA. Thank you.
So if you look at what's going on right now, there's a lot of companies who have laid people off who are likely to, just as a result of the economic situation that we're in. And then, of course, starting during the shutdown period, there were companies that were expanding, particularly those with essential services, but we think that will continue. And to some extent, what we have right now are pretty clunky systems to make that happen. The conference has done something pretty great in connecting individual companies. Also, the United Food and Commercial Workers is doing something to make it possible for their employees who have been laid off to get into employers and where they have members that are growing. We're looking toward expanding that direct hire strategy and supporting it, we hope, with some information technology so that it can be more of both kinds of companies and more employees. There's a leadership group on this team that you can see the members of right now, and the key words here are participants so far, because we're in the process of recruiting folks to work on this. So the good news is that there's a lot of interest on the part of employers and employer organizations here. And Jen, if you could go to the next slide, and then I'll finish with this one. So the leadership of Ready to Work includes our chair, and then also Dave Roger. Dave Roger in particular said very early on that that work needs to center on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so in order to do that, we've set up the employment best practices team. And it really has two targets. One is that, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The other is job quality. And I noted Sam's comments earlier about the quality of jobs making a big difference for all our Partner for Works participants. So we're going to look at best practices in the Pittsburgh area of companies on both of those things. And again, we've got some good interest so far with Labor Management Partnership and a couple of employers, and we're going to grow that. I hear already that there may be one additional member that's in the queue, so I'm pleased to be able to report that. Earl, is there anything else that you want me to cover before I'm done?
No, but thank you, Jack, and especially for the succinct way you walked through those. We could cover a full hour on just all three subjects, so thank you. And leaving a few things out because of time.
Could I raise a question?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good to see you guys. I really like the idea of the first source hiring hall or program. I'm assuming the union partnerships are there, the apprenticeship partnerships, and are part of that. Is that a fair question?
I'd say, Tom, from structurally, it's the early stages of development, but okay. Absolutely, all the partners will be connected. And again, I mentioned, the URA board chair, Sam Williamson, obviously is a big partner in this.
Sure.
And Tom, if I could just continue, the underlying first source agreement that Partner for Work has with the organization that's developing the Lower Hill site, 28-acre site, it has participation by both the Builders Guild, and then also when we get to the end-use jobs, to the extent that those jobs are part of the union's domain, the variety of different unions, that too.
And go ahead, Sam.
I was just going to say that there's a commitment that the Penguins have made that 20% of the construction jobs on 28 acres will be filled by workers of color. And so what we're trying to do here is get in front of that curve early enough so that we can actually meet that goal and have workers trained to get into those jobs and then have a career in the building trades after that one development's done.
And actually, if you recall the funding, when Susie went through the funding approvals, the partnership with the Builders Guild is directly connected to this.
And then what the URA is going to do is use that first source center to also connect with other employment opportunities and provide support for small business development and wealth generation in the neighborhood.
That's all fantastic news, and congratulations. For several years, it just seemed like there was a real gap there. It seems to me to make a lot of sense to think about how that system might be expanded to include the Hazelwood Green development.
Yeah, Tom, actually, while it's not a hiring center, hiring hall, or hiring, we are actually working directly with the developers on the Hazelwood Green. That is one of our projects, and we're working through a few things. So I'll update you on that offline.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few other pieces too, so we'll do that.
Yeah, that's like $1 billion over 20 years. In my sense, and Sabina Dietrich has actually mentioned the idea that, you know, you could start training some of the kids in the elementary schools and junior highs for eventual work in this location. So anyway, congratulations.
And I'll get you back with you, Tom.
Okay.
So in terms of the whole idea of Ready to Work, obviously, was to be able to coordinate and connect a lot of different things that were happening, good things, uncoordinated things. And so I think we just gave you a highlight of some of those coordination items. We didn't even have a chance to go in detail on the things we're doing at the PBELC. So we can, again, send you more information on that. There's a series of virtual town hall conversations coming up on June 29th and July 2nd. And some of you are already involved in that, and we'll help get that information out. That's going to give a chance to, again, small minority Black-owned businesses, get them connected to a variety of resources, and also look at the job opportunities that are there. So we're going to move on to the next few things. And so we're going to bring our friends from UPMC. Again, I mentioned the generous investment from RK Mellon to support this initiative with UPMC. The investment was about $150,000 to help us kickstart this. So we're going to hear from Natalie and her colleague Dan, and we'll take it from there.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for the time on the agenda this morning. I know that I've met many of you over the last couple of years, but for those I haven't formally met, I wanted to start by formally introducing myself. I've been with UPMC in the HR function for 12 years at this point, and I've had the pleasure of being a part of the Partner for Work board for the last 2 years. I joined the board and then promptly went out on maternity leave with my 2 girls, but have been very fortunate to be welcomed back with open arms and to have met and had the opportunity to work with so many of you. I have appreciated the opportunity to be a part of this organization, and I wanted to share with this group the work that UPMC has been doing in the workforce development space. And over the last couple of years, we've really just seen some tremendous progress with our workforce development initiatives. And for that, we're very thankful for the partnership of Partner for Work. We've been able to do some great and really exciting things together. I do have with me today one of my colleagues and friends. I have Dan Lavelli, who is UPMC's Director of Social Impact. Dan, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself to the group as well?
Sure. Thanks, Natalie and Earl, Susie, thanks for having us. It's an honor that I've learned so much already being on here, and it's nice to see so many friendly faces. Chairman, I was thinking, since we can't have our one-on-one due to coronavirus, maybe we can have a Zoom free throw shooting contest a little bit later.
I'm ready. I'm available to beat you in anything you'd like to.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But thank you for having us too, Chairman. There's nothing better than seeing your face. So I'm excited to be here. I've been at UPMC for about 5 years myself, and now part of this new Center for Social Impact that we just launched. And honestly, I want to just quickly give a shout out to Mark Cherna on the phone. That wouldn't have even been possible without your partnership with John Lovelace a decade ago in our housing work. So thank you for what you did to help us really focus on the social determinants. And that's kind of where we are now out of the health plan. As a lot of you know, we serve nearly 400,000 individuals on Medicaid managed care across the country, about 100 or across the state, about 100,000 in Allegheny County. And, as we all know, a lot of the social needs are much more important than any healthcare need to really their overall quality of life. And that's kind of our vision and goal and why we're here, because employment is really at the top. So thanks for having me. And this is just great.
So if you go to the next slide, I thought I would kick us off by just talking a little bit about UPMC. I know that most of you know who UPMC is at this point. Our corporate headquarters in downtown Pittsburgh is really hard to miss. And our footprint is expanding into all of the communities that we live and work. We are the largest non-governmental employer in the state of Pennsylvania. And in a world where COVID-19 has upended our lives and so many healthcare organizations across the United States, we're really proud that we've been able to maintain our workforce and our job stability for the 90,000 employees that work in our 40 hospitals, 700 doctors' offices, and outpatient sites. So it's been a crazy time to work in healthcare, but certainly proud to be a part of the UPMC family. Our insurance services division has grown to welcome 3.8 million members. We are the largest medical insurer in Western Pennsylvania. This map that you see on this slide just really showcases UPMC's expanding footprint. Many folks still believe that UPMC is kind of central to Allegheny County, and that is certainly where UPMC has a large footprint, but over the last 5 years, UPMC has grown tremendously across the state of Pennsylvania, also into the state of New York and into Maryland. Community commitment standpoint, UPMC provided $1.2 billion in community benefits last year. These efforts included more than 3,000 community programs, charity, and also other costs for care for those in need. We also support research and education. Our workforce is made up of about 90,000 employees at this point. Again, we have grown tremendously over the last 5 years, going from about 60,000 employees to 90,000 employees in that relatively short time frame. At any given time, we have about 4,000 open positions. My primary role within the HR function at UPMC is within talent acquisition. So we are always looking for folks to fill some of these most filled jobs, which include nursing. Our nursing jobs make up about a little over a fourth of the jobs that we are recruiting for. Roles like patient care support, which include nursing assistants, patient care technicians, medical assistants, CNAs, and then hospital support, those that really keep our hospitals buzzing and ensure a fantastic candidate and patient and family experience. Those roles include food and nutrition, our environmental services team, and our transport team. We also fill a number of customer service related opportunities within our award-winning UPMC Health Plan customer service team. Certainly both Dan and I can continue to talk all day long about the amazing opportunities that we have for employment across all of UPMC's facilities. We do partner with partners across our communities to ensure that we are connecting really great talent to meaningful work that we have here at UPMC. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about UPMC's commitment to workforce development, but also to share some of the amazing programs that we have been operating at UPMC for quite some time. And then I'm going to allow Dan to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have on deck and some of the really great work that we are excited to be kicking off. So from a current and existing program standpoint, UPMC has been a proud supporter of the Learn and Earn program for many years. UPMC this year took 12 corporate interns, and we are proud to continue to support that program in partnership with Partner for Work. The Partnership on Workforce Readiness and Retention, our POWER program, is designed to help individuals choose career paths, prepare for jobs, and develop skills to retain those jobs. So it truly is a workforce readiness program, not just training you how to do the role, but also ensuring that we are talking to you about things like removing barriers to employment, the importance of showing up to work on time, helping to remove childcare related issues. Our Project Search program is probably one of the programs that I love the most about UPMC. It is a one-year high school transitional program that's hosted by UPMC Mercy and UPMC Passivant. And it's a collaboration between UPMC, Goodwill, as well as the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and the Office of Intellectual Disabilities. and then also the school districts within the Pittsburgh area to combine education and work-related experience in an effort to prepare those students with disabilities for competitive employment. And these folks that graduate from these programs continue to be the sunshine within these hospitals that they work in. They are known by everyone, and they continue to provide really meaningful work to the hospitals that they work in. Within the last couple of years, we were able to kick off our Environmental Services Associate Trainee Program, which is a partnership with the Energy Innovation Center. We actually train our EVS associates at the EIC. And again, that program is designed to not only give them real life experience and training in what it means to be an EVS associate. At the EIC, we actually built a patient room that folks can practice their new job responsibilities in, so that they are better prepared to move into roles within UPMC hospitals. But also, again, it really focuses on that workforce readiness and ensures that they, they're ready again to be really fantastic members of the UPMC team. As a result of that program, we've seen our turnover within the EVS roles at UPMC decline significantly. And we also have seen these folks coming into our positions well prepared for the roles that they're moving into. In addition, we do have our Medicaid work support program.
Natalie,
please.
go. Why don't you want to just go to the PCT one, and I can loop the Medicaid work into the last slide.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Rocket.
So I talked a little bit about the EIC program, and one of the things that we are launching right now, and we're actually actively recruiting for our first cohort, is an extension of our EIC partnership, and not only allowing our partnership to help us with our EVS focused roles, but also to help us with our nursing support roles. So we have a role that is a patient care technician. These folks provide routine patient care. If you've ever been in a hospital, these are the folks that do your vitals, check on you, ensure that you have everything that you need, and also really are focused on providing a high degree quality of patient care. We are partnering with the EIC to train these folks in all of these things. It will be a 5-week training, and it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. They are hired as casual UPMC employees while they are going through this program. We are paying them to go through this program. And then upon successful completion of the training program, participants will be able to be considered for part-time or full-time roles at UPMC. The goal being that every person that successfully graduates from this program moves into a role within our hospitals. We are focusing on our urban facilities, so those in the downtown Pittsburgh and Oakland areas, as a first pilot of this program. But with the success that we've seen through the EVS partnership with the EIC, we are confident that we'll see continued fantastic outcomes there as well. I'm going to turn it over to Dan to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we are exploring and working through right now, and then to share some really fantastic news regarding our partnership with Partner for Work. So Dan, want to take it?
Sure. Absolutely, Natalie. Yeah, so I promise I will be quick. I know we're short on time. 2 opportunities here, which I think are just great, that will focus on jobs that we need, and then communities where we have membership and where we serve the community. A medical assistant training program. We're looking at potentially an apprenticeship, and maybe not, but we've talked to Earl and Susie, and then a few of you on the phone and your teams a little bit of how this could work. Very excited about what we might do there. And then another cool idea we have is, we're continuing to expand how we provide care in the community, and we're using more community paramedics to do so. And we're looking at the kind of rebooting the Freedom House concept from the 60s, which was just great. And, we have some very passionate leaders in patient care on that team that could get it done. And that's something that we talked to Earl about as well, that we're hoping to get going in the next calendar year, hopefully. So that'll be cool. We'll come back to you on that. But on the good news, on the last slide that we have to share, is Susie and Earl and Jack, you've been wonderful, and just thank you for opening your arms to us to work together on this issue, especially during COVID. They put in an incredible application with us and in Partner for Work. I mean, you guys were just wonderful as the lead to get this done. We don't get this without you guys. So we got $150,000, as Earl mentioned, to hire 2 workforce development specialists that will live within the career link, and then also some extra funding there to look at some virtual programs that we might develop moving forward to totally change how we offer job training to get people into the jobs that we need. The context here quickly is that earlier this calendar year, DHS and Labor and Industry announced a new Medicaid work support program, which is not a work requirement. We're glad because we do not support work requirements, and we've seen it not go very well across the country with some of our friendly health plans in other states. But we think this is very neat. The governor and the secretaries did a very nice job of laying out a way and a path for us as health plans who cover individuals on Medicaid to work with workforce boards. And this RK Mellon proposal we see as the gateway to developing a model for how to do so. And I just, I know I can speak for Earl and saying that, a year from now, we want to develop a national model for how to do this for our Medicaid members and our community. And, we just think this is going to be a great possible chance, to make an incredible difference. We know that, the vast majority of our Medicaid members already work or could. Obviously now, likely a large sum are out of work due to COVID, or are caregivers or are in school. And so we know that, we have a chance to do something, and we just feel incredibly passionate about it. So the last thing, I know we can talk, much more about it, and please, reach out to us. Just a call to you all, let us know your thoughts and ideas, and ways that we can do it. We're here. We've made this commitment, and we're in, and it's going to give everything I have to make this work. And I just couldn't be more grateful for the energy from Earl and Susie and your teams. It's great. And we're looking forward to the next step in it. So please, come to us, and we're ready to make this work, and it'll be great. So thanks.
Thank you. And for the board, more information to come as this moves forward, and other collaborations will come out of this.
Hey, Danny, one quick question. I know we have no time. Could
Yes.
you call me offline? I don't see anyone moving to increase our capacity in the mental health area, which is going to impact a lot of people we serve. And I see that growing rapidly as a result of the COVID-19. So if you get a chance, give me a call. I'd like to see what you're doing and see if we could find some way to help move that forward.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your report. Sorry to be so short. We didn't mean to be rude, but we have a very verbose group here.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all right. I'll take it out. I'll take it out of you on the court.
Yeah, right. Next, my favorite, Laura. Can you give us an update on Reignite? Or Earl, did you want to kick it off? Or
no, Laura's ready. And then
Yeah, I'll do it. And with the verbose lead in, it's perfect. So
make you feel so comfortable.
it really is. So the good is
Hey, Laura, you're coming in.
Wait, Laura, you're froze. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We are delighted to announce that IBM's Global Post-COVID project, which is called Reignite the Economy, is coming to Pittsburgh. And in fact, Pittsburgh is one of the pilot cities for the global rollout. And that is in large part thanks to many of the people on this call who Earl's going to mention in just a second. But I will give the headline that this is bringing hundreds of IBM consultants and expertise, a fully developed website that has been developed for over 2 years, and just unbelievable resources, including resources to be brought by Jones Day and others to assist small business and nonprofits, job seekers in recovering from the economic fallout of COVID. And you still hear me? I'm getting a nasty message.
You're going in and out, and this is the
okay.
highlight of the day. This is heartbreaking.
So let me do this. Let me turn it over to Earl, and I will just say this coming into it. Earl himself, we brought Earl into the global IBM team to advise on workforce, and he is now their national workforce advisor and has just done an unbelievable job and put not just Pittsburgh as the test city for this, but has really put everything that we're doing in a position to design this overall global platform for IBM. It has just been an unbelievable performance. And so I'm going to turn it over.
Okay, you went out again, Laura, but just, I hope you can hear, because it is true that Earl hit the ball out of the park, but he doesn't get up the bat without you. So we really owe you a debt of gratitude. This region will never know what you've brought to this table for us. So thank you.
Yeah, no, to that point, just to really succinctly show how much influence our vice chair and friend Laura has. So in her work with IBM, small matter, there were 8 cities they were targeting. Pittsburgh is not one of those cities. Pittsburgh not only is a member of that, we're, as Laura mentioned, kicking off this initiative. So that's a hell of a jump from
8 cities globally, not just in the U.S. We went from nowhere, we were not on the radar, and now we're kicking it off. So thank you.
Yeah, and so with that, and Laura mentioned, the 3 focus points of community jobs and job seekers, nonprofits, and small businesses. And also, I want to give a shout out, and Dave already started, Dave Copeland, but many members of this board are part of the local advisory group. So can you please say hello for those who are members of that? Dr. Bullock, Dave Copeland, Linda Topoleski. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone just because there's a lot going on right now. And then in addition to them, our friends, the United Way and Goodwill, are also partners. And Dave Roger and Hillman Foundation are also partners here. So just wanted to make sure that they were acknowledged, and that the group we're meeting weekly and have been working very hard to, and we've even had our staff trained this past week to better understand. And I think one of the next big pushes is to get a lot of our local employers and CEOs on board with this, so we can, with the certification or the badge, become part and parcel of the local arsenal. We want to make sure that this is well connected into the articulation agreements with many of our companies. And so again, we are able, like we talked about earlier, with our earn program and others. So now these job seekers can walk into situations that have strong articulation, that have strong buy-in, and quite frankly have strong placement value on the back end. And so while we were creating a lot of these situations, this is ready-made, packaged for the things that we've talked about doing down the road. So real quickly, if Dave or Dr. Bullock or anyone from the advisory group has a word or two, this is a great time to do it. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking, because there's so much to say. I could spend an hour alone just on this project.
Quentin, did you want to add?
This is Quentin. I would just add that this is a great addition to the excellent work that we're doing within the region, adding the support from IBM's team and the integration of technology that will add a tremendous lift with buy-in that we will receive from businesses who will help to craft what those credentials or micro-credentials or badges will be. I think will be well received and will be a tool that will further advance Pittsburgh as a model for utilizing Reignite in our region. So great work. Thank you, Earl, and thank you, Laura.
Yeah, the only thing I would add briefly is that, when you listen to the first half of our meeting, it's very difficult for most of the audience to really get excited about our work, because it's really digging ditches and getting your fingers dirty and doing hard work. Complicated funding, complicated outcomes, anagrams that nobody understands. But this will give Partner for Work, I think, a chance to be front and center in front of our corporate leaders, in front of our social agency leaders, and put Earl and his team in a place where they can command attention that they haven't in the past. So I see this as really, really valuable for the region and for Partner for Work. So yeah, once again, thank you all.
And Chairman, before I turn back over to you, I mentioned earlier with the emphasis on minority businesses and Black-owned businesses. This will connect really well and highlight those connections, and also provide resources where applicable. So I'd be remiss if we didn't mention that.
Well, that's great. Any other questions or comments yet, Ike?
Yeah, again, maybe I'm the dense one here in the crowd, but a business walking in and taking advantage of this service, or an individual, what do they see? This sounds, from what I'm getting out of it, it's something that helps at sort of a structural level, but what does it end up meaning?
Laura, do you want to field that one?
Yeah, I'm happy to, if you can hear me. So we can make available to you, there's an open source website that's a tiny piece of Reignite that we can make available to the board here. But basically it is, you go online, you can take a whole series of courses that train you for a particular career, that you get a badge at the end that IBM is negotiating with national employers to accept as an employment credential. You can go online and talk in real time with an IBM business coach who will help you with whatever your small business issue is. For example, some of the African American small businesses here, they need a tech consultant and they need to be able to talk to somebody live. They will be able to go on and talk to a real live human being about their finding resources, tech issues, and how to get up to speed. They will be able to do self-directed training on how to get conversant with, the skills of the 21st century economy. They will get live people to help them if they need it. We are working with businesses, so UPMC, hi Dan, if a business wants to come on and say, I have a training program that I want to drop in here for pick your skill, IBM is open through this leadership team to build that into the platform. So this is iterative from a legal standpoint. We are providing an entire suite of seminars, some of them interactive, some of them down to a clinical level on every issue for nonprofit small business. This is a multi-billion-dollar effort that IBM is investing in and making available for free to communities around the world. It's an extraordinary asset, and we're happy to begin to make the pieces available to this group as it rolls out.
And Ike will make sure it connects to all of our signature programs.
Guys, we've been all over the country looking for these resources. We met with LinkedIn, we met with Amazon, we tried to get them to buy into this. And essentially what we're going to do is by the use of technology, access job, career information, services, real-time consultants that can help people build their business in a way that's never been done before. And Laura dropped it in her lap.
Well, and what we're doing, like Linda is taking, she's bringing all of the research that the conference did on job skills, job demand, whatever, so that we can build that into what the offering is here in Pittsburgh. In other words, all the pieces are fitting together and residing on this platform that we have the ability to design in real time. So it's amazing. And we truly, truly, truly couldn't do it without Earl's leadership and without the leadership and input of the other members of this board. And I sincerely mean that. It's just been fabulous.
This sounds like a very exciting idea. How are minority-owned businesses being represented on the leadership team?
So I'll let Earl mention it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I couldn't think of all the members earlier, but the African Chamber is a member, and they are represented by Joel Bernstein, one of their board members. And so they are at the table. And as a matter of fact, Joel and I are meeting with their leadership soon to kind of roll this out as well, so that it becomes integrated into their work. So that's just a start. There'll be more connecting points than that, as you know. And also, I always forget the other group he's representing. There's a regional supplier diversity initiative he's bringing to the table also.
It's a minority business. I don't have it in front
of me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Earl?
No, we're going to turn over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Actually, Earl, if I may, we need to get some consensus around the letter of agreement, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the board is in favor of Partner for Work signing a letter of agreement with IBM to bring Skills Build here.
Would you like a formal motion?
I would, please.
I would be pleased to move that one.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion will stand. Thanks so much for your help.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
I think our time is up. I did want to open the meeting up to public comments. Are there any? Hearing none, then we can conclude the meeting. We're going to now move into executive session quickly. So if Earl and staff could disappear, that would be great. Danny, Natalie, thanks so much for visiting with us today. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you. Anyone who's not an executive committee member, please step off the line. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Guys, I got like 4 calls after my email went out that I had a personal matter to discuss with you. It's not all that personal, by the way. It's really around Earl's contract. His term with us.
Dave, can you hang on 1 second, please?
No.
Please.
Do whatever I want.
That's beautiful.
Whose phone number is 412-344-4775?
Who happens to be muted?
Oh, let me unmute them.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the business. That's the business building trades.
Oh, good. Thanks. Okay, so we're good to go, Jen?
Okay. Dr. Washington, do you mind stepping off the line?
Oh, not at all.
Thank you. All right, I am going to make you the host, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
and I am going to depart.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.